Hi everybody, Kitsune over here and welcome to my channel. As you can see, since you're only seeing my hands, it's a project day. Today's project is going to be a little Christmas ornament rehab. Right now you're going to see a lot of Christmas stuff discounted at the stores, and you can get things pretty cheaply to have for next year or to change into something you can use year round. What I found, this is going to be a simple one, is this deer. And obviously this poor little thing, its antlers have gone missing. Got it at a pretty good price, and I already have a very simple idea on what to do with this deer. Now, he has bells molded in, so obviously I'm going to keep him as an actual Christmas item. I'm just going to get him ready for next year. Lovely metal ribbons that you can adjust the positions of. Beautiful wreath, and he's patinaed to look old. And what I think I want to do with him is to give him some branch antlers. So I got these also, a Christmas item. I got these on discount, and I'm going to trim off some of these branches to make antlers for him. So here's what we're going to do. For right now, let me set him aside and work on this branch. I want to find two that are roughly the same size and shape and snip them off. So if you fluff it out, you can start seeing what's going on with these. It's got some interesting blue colored berries. I would have maybe gone white, but they didn't have any. There's a couple right there that look pretty even, but I don't know. Are they too big? I think I can go with that. Possibly a good size. So, let me go ahead and take my snippers and remove those as I knock down everything that's still over here waiting its turn to be done from fall. Yeah, you heard it right. Things are still sitting here from fall. Anyway, I'm going to take these and I'm going to cut it loose. There's two branches. Get rid of this tag and set aside the rest for another project. Alright, so I've got my branch antlers. They have a pretty good spread to them. They should look nice. I might have to glue in a couple of the berries, but that's fine. Yeah, they look relatively even, so I think these two could work nicely together. Let's see what they would look like on his head. If I go ahead and just put them in there as they are, I think that could work. I do kind of want him to have a rather large spread here. As you can see, yeah, he's got some serious antler going on. But I like that. So how am I going to attach them? Well, I could fill up the reservoir here with hot glue. Unfortunately, hot glue has a tendency to yellow with age sometimes. And you don't know which ones will and which ones won't until you've actually gone and used them. So in this case, I decided to go with a different kind of material entirely. I'm going with a little bit of JB Water Weld. This is a two-part compound. Both parts are inside this tube. You just mix it together, and I'm going to fill this in and attach the antlers into it and let it set. So let's go ahead and do that. It really will stick to absolutely anything. I do recommend that you follow all of the instructions as far as safety. If you remove more than you need from the tube, it's done. It's going to dry out. Just get what you need from it. And also, when you're using this, enter the nitrile. Get those gloves out. Wear them. You don't want this embedded in your skin. It's gross. It feels horrible. And it's nearly impossible to get off. So, you don't need to be repairing your fingerprints, you know. You're just repairing the deer. Nice pair of nitrile gloves. These actually have a tiny bit of texture to them. Not much. You can hardly see it at all, but they're okay. I'm using 5mm. They have different thicknesses if you prefer. That's up to you. I hear a lot of people go, oh, double glove. Well, that's great and all, but if you tear the outer one, you're tearing the inner one too. I have never seen a time when that didn't happen. So, just be aware of your gloves. Get thicker ones if you think you're going to be doing something that'll tear them. So let's get some of this stuff out. Just kind of pop that lid. Looks like I broke the tube. Okay. When you get it out, it's in this nice plastic sleeve with a little cap. And just peel this off. And see both the parts of the compound there. Keep that top piece, by the way. There's a little seam. That isn't going to let me get it. That's alright. I'll just squeeze some of this out of here. I won't need a lot for him. Just a pinch. That should be enough, I think. Feels like I got a bit of a crispy end, though. I hope that won't be too bad. Anyway, all I'm going to do is knead this. I'm going to use that little cap to cover that up. Put it away. I'm going to knead this until it all becomes one color. As you can see, it's getting all over everything. Pretty messy stuff. You just treat it like clay. Has a very similar texture to polymer when you first start. Please excuse my gloves. They're extra larges because that's all I could get a hold of. And I don't wear an extra large glove. Surprisingly. You can always feel it heating up when you're using it. Okay? You're going to feel some heat coming off of this. But that's because it's starting to react. This doesn't dry. It has a chemical reaction. And when it sets, it can be sanded. It can be painted. You can do all sorts of stuff with it. And it's pretty solid stuff. Not too expensive. I like using it. So here I've got everything one color. This is a little ball of stuff. And I'm going to take this little ball of stuff and fill in that hole. I'm going to try and get it all down inside here. I may have a little bit too much. We'll see. You get a little bit of work time. Depending on which one you get, it's different. Put that one down. Get an antler. I'm going to smoosh it right on down inside of there. And then work this up around the base of it. Try and make it good and solid. And do the same thing with the other one. Yeah, I'm getting them a little bit messy, but it won't matter because there will be another step that I add that will take care of that. I'm going to work this around them. Right now it's very soft, so it won't support it on its own. Okay, now I just need to lean these against something and leave them to set. Once this sets up fully, I'm going to come back and make it nice. These little witch hat cutouts will do the job nicely, I think. I hope. We'll see. Alright, I don't want to really touch this too much more once I get it smoothed out the way I want it to be. And yeah, it's a little rough, but that's okay. I've got a plan for that. I think everything's pretty well supported. Guys, we will come back in just a little bit once this Water Weld epoxy putty has set. You can get a little better view of what I've done here. Just setting up on these two witchy hats to hold them in place while this sets up. Okay, so we'll be back. Okay, so it's actually been a couple of days because I got waylaid, had some other things to do. But this stuff here really only takes about 15 minutes to harden to touch. and roughly an hour, it says, before you can actually get in and work with it. Now, I'm not going to do much else with this. I'm not going to sand it or anything because it won't matter because of what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this so that if anything shows through, it's not going to be really evident. I'm going to be using some acrylics. I've just got an old bottle of Deco Art in satin black. That's fine. And then I'm going to go over it with some metallic gold. Now, the reason I'm putting down black first is because metallics just look a whole lot better when you put black under them than any other color. It also gives it a little bit of a base to cling to because metallics tend to be a little bit thinner as well. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of real quick here. Make sure you shake up your paints really good. Just a drop there. I do moisten my brushes before I use them when I'm using acrylics, just because it softens up the bristles and helps it accept the paint a little bit better. I'm just covering up this white area. And like I said, this isn't going to need to be perfect because of the next step I'm going to do. Alright, I'm going to let the black dry and then I'm going to go to the gold. Alright, so this is dried enough that I can go on to the gold. Let's get that shook up. There we go. This gold's not going to be exact. I don't have the shade, I don't believe. So I'm not going to get too uptight about it, but it will be relatively close. This may take a couple of different coats, drying in between, of course, to get the full coverage that we want. I'm going to take a little bit of this gold right on up the tree branches, just to tie them in some. A little touch here and there. Alright, you can see what I'm doing here. I'll just let this dry a little bit and add a second coat. Once that second coat is in, I'll show you what I'm going to be doing next. Alright, so this is the last of 3 coats of paint, or at least 3 coats of the metallic. Once this one dries, I'm going to move on to the next step. Let's give him a little more of it up here. Alright. So once this dries, I'm going to get out some of this Deco Art Snow Tex. Sorry, you need light here, don't you? Deco Art Snow Tex. What this does is it's kind of clumpy and white and a little sparkly to give a snow texture. And I'm going to add a little bit of it here and there on him to look like he's been laying out in the snow. Once this dries, that will be the final item that I need to put on here to make him complete. So let's let this dry, and I'll come back and I'll show you how this is applied. Alright, now that all the paint is dry, let me bring this where you can see. You can see he's nice and dry here. It's a not exact match, but that's okay. It's still gold. It's going to blend pretty decently. It's time to put on some of the snow texture. Now, I'm not using a good paintbrush for this. You will never use this paintbrush again. This stuff can be put on with a Q-tip. It can be put on with a popsicle stick. I've got one of these little throwaway foam brushes that come in the multi-packs. And all you do with this stuff, you can see it's kind of gross looking. You take some of it and you dab it on and leave it to dry. It's got to turn rock hard once it dries. You just take it and start adding it on. And you want to kind of dab it. You don't want to wipe it or else it'll be a little too smooth. You do want it to look like it's chunky, fluffy snow sitting on top of his head. Because clearly this deer doesn't move around too much, I guess. I'm just going to take this and dab it around on him here and there, just to make it look a little bit naturalistic, though I know of no creature that sits and lets itself get snowed upon willingly. You can add extra glitter and paint to this after it's dried. It takes it very well. And this is why I wasn't too worried about this being smooth, because he's going to have this stuff all over him. It's not really going to show. Put a little bit on his wreath. Nice and chunky. This is going to dry just like your acrylic paints do. He's a little bit smooth, so some of this wants to come off. I just have to keep at it. It'll stick eventually, and I can layer more on if I need to. Move these ribbons out of the way. Now for this stuff, I definitely want to go up the branches as well. Kind of hit it on here randomly. Just a special note, when you're doing this, make sure your surface is covered, and either wear an apron or clothes you don't care if they get messed up, because this stuff does go everywhere, like shrapnel. Alright, looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to leave this to dry, and you know what, actually I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to sprinkle this guy with some glitter. See what I've got to sprinkle him with. Just to give him a little bit more shine. I think I'll use a little bit of this. That should stick right in all this snow stuff I put on him. Make a nice effect. And a terrible mess out of my table, but that's okay, because sometimes the mess is worth the result. Alright guys, we're going to let him dry, and then I will show you some pictures of what he was like when he gets finished. Everybody, so that was the rehab of the broken deer that I've gotten from the store without his antlers, and I do like the way this project came out. I did somewhat plan it, somewhat didn't. I kind of went, that's gonna look good, let's do this. So this little fella, he's still not completely dry, so I'm leaving him alone right there, but he's going to be joining my Christmas decorating next year, and maybe we'll hang around through the winter. But for now, he's going to go into storage along with everything else, and I'll be moving on to the next project. There's a lot of things, as you can see from the terrible mess that my bench is in, that I am halfway through doing, that started maybe in fall and possibly even earlier. So once I get all of those projects done, I'll be able to get them up on my Etsy page, or maybe even at a craft show or something, hopefully. Mostly the plan is to get all of these supplies I have laying around used up and out the door to somebody who could use them or want them. Because, frankly, at some point, we're going to have to find someplace bigger to live, because this place just doesn't hold all of our books. What can I say? So thank you very much for coming along on this little project. I will have a few more for you later on. Mostly finishing things up, and also I'm going to start into a few new things. There's going to be a little bit more doll-focused things here pretty soon, because that happens to be the things that came into my mind. And possibly some costume work, I don't know. Hang around and see. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you would like, you can go check me out on Patreon, either under Steam Fox Latte or Kitsune Haruri. And also check out my Etsy page, which is Steamed Fox Latte. I might be a little hard to find. You'll have to type me in because I don't have my own address there. But once you do find me, well, I keep putting up new stuff all the time. So if nothing else, have a look and be entertained. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Here's a jar of dirty water and a quick tip. When you are cleaning your brushes, if you do not need to let them soak, which most of the time you don't, simply get them swished and washed and get them back out. Don't leave them in or else you'll ruin your bristles. They'll cause them to fall out and it will also cause them to be in weird shapes. One other thing, that is foamy, yes. I have put a drop of hand soap in there that helps to break up the oils in the paint so that they come out much cleaner. And also in the bottom I have this nifty little thing that will help scrub out some of that nastiness. I have one of these. They come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. You can even use a glass floral frog if that's what you want to use. Just be gentle with your brushes going across it. Wipe it across one way. Do not scrub. Okay? So as it's going across the bottom, you just do this. And what that does is it helps massage the paint out. That's laying right down here in the bottom of this. I don't know if you can actually see it, but you can hear it. One of these, a little soap, room temperature water, and you're all set. Take good care of your brushes. They'll last you a long time.